Midsommar, written and directed by Ari Aster, is a gruesome psychological horror story told through the guise of the beautiful and lush Swedish countryside. Throughout the film, we follow Dani as she faces the loss of her entire family at the hands of her sister's suicide. As she tries to cope through this traumatic event, she clings desperately to the only person she believes she has left, her boyfriend Christian. And let me tell you, this guy stinks.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Besides the point, however, they end up traveling to Sweden with Christian's friends Josh, Mark, and Pelle to celebrate with Pelle and his community, the Harga, for their 9-day midsummer festival. Upon arrival, they begin to realize that things aren't what they seem, and soon understand that this community is essentially a wolf in sheep's clothing, or I guess rather a guy in a bear suit. If you know, you know. Outside of the beautiful landscapes and trippy visuals, we have to ask ourselves, what is Aster trying to tell us? Well, the short answer is a lot. The long answer would take significantly longer than the 10 to 15 minutes I have for this assignment, like 6 hours longer. So to find a good in-between, I've settled on 2 main topics, deception and trauma. This film plays into the subtleties of the various kinds of deceptions Dani and everyone else faces throughout so beautifully that I found more and more examples the more I watched through. The trauma Dani faces as well makes her significantly more susceptible to the deception played against her by Pelle and the Harga, but more on that later. According to Marta Denel, in an article titled, "When Both Utterances and Appearances are deceptive, deception and multimodal film narrative, there are 5 main forms of deception in film, but I'll be focusing on the last 3 to drive my point: deceptively withholding information, covert ambiguity, and covert irrelevance." Starting with deceptively withholding information. This is said to involve communicating nothing or something truthful in keeping covert in all or part of the believed true meaning in order to deceive the hearer. We see this with nearly every interaction Pelle has with Dani, and really with anyone from the group. Looking at his first main interaction with Dani when they're sitting on the couch of Mark and Josh's shared apartment.
What were you drawing?
Just a table.
Oh. How have you been?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Survived finals, so yeah, you know. And you?
I didn't quite finish, but they're giving me a break this year.
Oh God, yes, of course. Sorry.
Yeah, it's how did you like the anthropology department?
I like it. Yeah, not as much as this one maybe, but you're doing psychiatry, right?
Psychology. Yeah.
Okay.
So you know I'm nuts.
Yeah. Also that funny look in your eye. So you're coming to Hälsingland?
I guess so. Yeah, and we'll actually be arriving on my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday!
Thank you. Yeah, Christian says you've got this special week planned.
Yeah, it's sort of a crazy 9-day festival my family's doing. Lots of pageantry and special ceremonies and dressing up.
That sounds fun.
It'll probably seem very silly, but it's like theater.
Yeah, Christian says you're from like a commune, right?
Yeah, we're a small community. Here, I'll show you.
Oh, wow. I see what you mean about the pageantry.
Yeah, we make those clothes special for every winter and summer solstice. Everybody sort of does everything together.
That's an interesting symbol.
Yeah, we're taught the runic alphabet, so.
Whoa, who's that one?
That's last year's May Queen.
Beautiful.
You know, I'm very, very glad you're coming. I think it's very good you're coming.
Thank you.
Also, I never had the chance to tell you, but I was so very sorry to hear about your loss.
Oh.
What happened? I can't even imagine. I lost my parents too, so I kind of have some idea.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm gonna just go to the bathroom. Thank you.
In this clip, Pele is telling Danny that what his family does is theatrical, or pageantry. He's painting this picture that it's all in good fun. When he shows Danny photos of the May Queen, we can see that hint of subtle deception that Astor's playing on. The way he directly stares at her as she observes the photo gave me really weird vibes the first time I saw it, but made me feel sick the second and third time through because I knew what was coming for Danny, and it's honestly shocking she didn't pick up on it. But this could be due to her trauma as well, and again, we'll talk more about that later. The second form of deception that Donnell notes is covert ambiguity. They define this as relying on two alternative interpretations, with the salient or most notable interpretation being the covertly untruthful one, and the hidden meaning, which is not to be discovered by the target, being the truthful one. Again, any interaction that Pele has with any member of the group displays this form of deception, but one of the more notable ones is within the first 8 minutes of the film. Christian is sitting with everyone at a restaurant, distraught over his relationship with Danny and wanting to leave her but not really knowing how to do it. Mark makes an offhand comment about how Christian could be getting the waitress pregnant, and Pele chimes in with, "Don't forget all the Swedish women you could impregnate in June."
Wow, okay. Thanks for the psychoanalysis.
Dr. Josh. Listen, I'm just trying to focus.
That's for you.
See? You could be getting that girl pregnant right now.
And don't forget about all the Swedish women you can impregnate in June.
Okay, guys.
To a first-time viewer, this seems super weird and gross, and it is. But to a second or third-time viewer, we can see how Pele is using this form of covert ambiguity to insinuate Christian's fate, the whole reason he's even being invited to Pele's commune in the first place, in order to impregnate one of the women there. The third form of deception is covert irrelevance, which rests on providing covertly irrelevant information as if it is relevant to the question under discussion. After the scene of the two elder Harga jumping from a cliff, we see Danny distraughtly packing her bag. Pele intersects her and asks if she's okay. In this clip, we see Pele trying to distract Danny from what she just saw and blaming her reaction to a horrific event on the fact that she hasn't fully coped from the loss of her entire family. He presents her trauma in a covertly irrelevant way to distract her from what she truly feels and twists it into being about something else entirely, which segues us beautifully into the next topic of discussion, Danny's trauma. It's not really surprising that the loss of her entire family to a murder-suicide hit Danny like a freight train. Astor took no time at all to throw us into the trenches of the story by having the opening sequence of events conclude with Danny sobbing loudly on the couch in the arms of Christian as she attempts to process the news. We cut to 6 months later and see Danny laying in bed surrounded by dead plants and staring at the wall. An article by Rebecca L. Goldman titled "Traumatized Characters in Traumatized Environments, A Look at Repression and Horror" wonderfully details Danny's expression of her trauma, saying, quote, "The film provides a contemporary look at the interaction of horror and trauma as an ultimately cathartic environment for processing trauma, rather than one that feeds off the evils caused by repression." Repression referring to Sigmund Freud's theory of trauma and the return of the repressed. Goldman describes the Harga's commune as a place that allows Danny to fully live through her trauma in an environment that is not suppressed by societal norms. We can see in the beginning of the film when Christian comes into Danny's room 6 months after the incident, and he seems aloof and cold towards her, but is deceptively trying to seem caring at the same time. It's as though he's fed up with her being sad, almost like he's expecting her to just get over it already. His response could also be due in part because he wants to be able to end things with her, but that's a topic for another day. I mean, sincerely, screw this guy. Astor really has a way of writing the most unfavorable male characters. This scene, juxtaposed with the one right after Danny finds Christian cheating on her with the Harga girl, really drives Goldman's point home. Rather than shunning her to suffer alone, the women surround her and grieve with her. Since the beginning of the film, Dani has shown repressive tendencies. She's constantly telling everyone she's fine, she pushes away help when it's offered, and she secludes herself when her emotions become too great for her to hide. But when she's within the confines of the Harga, she's able to express those emotions and is free of judgment. The Harga completely strip Dani and its members of their individualism and replaces it with a sense of community grief. We can see this bright as day when the Harga elder jumps from the cliff. To spare everyone the gruesome details, the man unfortunately lived, which is a sentence I never thought I would say, and begins to cry out in intense pain, and everyone joins him in his cries. They scream and yell as if they too are suffering the same pain. As a side note, the way Aster shows Dani's disassociation in this moment is so wonderfully done, and I would argue that there hadn't been a time in film up to this point that displayed this sense of losing touch with reality as well as Aster did in this moment. Dani's trauma, and subsequently the way she repressed it for months, makes her a prime target of manipulation from the Harga, which seemed to be the goal all along. Referring back to the clip of Pele and Dani after the Elder Harga jump, he tells her that he was most excited for her to come. And more subtly, when the group first arrives to the commune, the elder man says welcome to everyone else, but only says welcome home to Dani. By the end of the film, we see Dani completely lose touch with reality. Florence Pugh herself, who is the actress that plays Dani, stated in an interview that she believed Dani had finally reached her mental breaking point by the end of the movie, which is why she ends up smiling while watching the temple that Christian, Josh, and Mark are all in burn to the ground. All in all, I believe that Aster did a beautiful job at displaying deception, something that is arguably very difficult to display in film, and trauma, again, something that is arguably difficult to get right in film. If you're at all interested with the lore of this movie, I referenced a 6-hour-long video that I watched in preparation for this assignment titled Midsommar, The Complete Guide, Everything Explained by Novum on YouTube. This video dives very deep into every aspect of this film, and I highly recommend it. But that is all the time we have for today, so thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.